Hi, everyone. We are here for a special live episode of The Copy Corner. As you heard before, I'm your host, Terry Schilling, with
Dan Marzullo.
and our special guest today. We've been talking about it. We're really excited. We have Nick Entwistle at 1 Minute Briefs and also the founder and creative director of the Bank of Creativity. Man, we are really happy to have you here, Nick.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. And so, we're live here. We'll get with some couple housekeeping things here first. We're live across LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll have some time at the end for some Q&As for anybody watching along live if you got some questions. But of course, feel free to say hi in the comments. But also we have this streaming too on the podcast streams across wherever you listen to podcasts. And so, Nick, we brought you on because 1 Minute Briefs has become this kind of this huge online community. I see it pop up on Twitter all the time and on LinkedIn, people sharing these fun taglines and these fun ads that they create. And Dan and I just wanted to have you on and really learn more about the origin story of that and help people too watching of just like how they can take maybe an idea that they have, right, and turn that into an online community like you've been able to grow. So maybe we can do like a quick origin story with you, Nick, and then how you came up with, the idea for 1 Minute Briefs.
Yeah, sure. It all actually came going back to university where we had weeks on end on a particular advertising brief. I did advertising and graphic design. That's my background. And I don't take very well to having too much time on things. And I start to procrastinate. And I wait till the end of the thing. Anyway, my old creative partner actually did his whole 7-week project on the final night and got a better grade than me as well. So, but I did mine like in the last week, and I just applied that pressure on myself. And I had it in my head, these ideas, but having that pressure and time constraints actually made the ideas better.
Yeah.
And potentially the output, because you apply a bit of pressure to yourself. And the 1 minute thing came out of we just said, oh, should we do a 1 minute brief? And we didn't know what one of them was at the time. We were on Photoshop, so it was even more difficult because you got a bit of wording in a color or something, and literally doing it in 60 seconds. So it sort of started from literally from there, and then a couple of people looked over our shoulder at what we were doing because we did a few more of them. Then we started to create a bank of images that we didn't know what to do with, I suppose. And then we took it to Twitter. And again, it's just learning. We didn't know what we were doing on Twitter. Facebook was out. We just started to apply them to a Twitter feed that we just called it 1 Minute Briefs. So we never intended to create this massive community that it is now. However, just learning and being on these feeds, and I'm always doing that with all my social channels, and also failing on a few of them as well. I think it's interesting I've tried to create other communities on Instagram and other things, and the idea has just died at like 50 followers or something like that. And some of that is not being able to apply your own time to it. But what we did on this, which is the reason we saw the community grow, was we started to just post our own. We got about 100 followers or something. But then we opened it up and said, right, we're going to do a 1 minute brief of the day. And we just kept doing that, even though we were getting like one person entering or 0 on one day. And then, but what we would do, obviously, when we get an entry, we would retweet it. So the person, we didn't realize at the time, we had no idea what we were doing. But the person submitting to us is obviously is posting on their own feed. So that goes to their followers. And it has that same sort of effect that us doing it in the university classroom did when people looked over our shoulders. And then they wanted to have a go. And then that's why. And obviously the competitive nature of it, people want to win the 1 minute brief of the day.
Sure.
And the friendly competitiveness and community and nice feeling that this supportive community has, where it's almost, especially negativity, especially at the moment and past couple of years. 1 minute in a nice, positive space for creative people to just have a bit of fun and no pressure as well because of the 1 minute thing. If it's no good, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Try
matter.
again tomorrow, right?
Yeah, try again tomorrow. And sometimes one will go viral or something. So yeah, it sort of came from that. There's loads I could go into, but that's basically how it all started, and then just continued to grow and been doing the exact same thing every day ever since. And that's why opportunities and things have just kept growing ever since.
Yeah. When did you start this? What year?
Yeah, that was what I was thinking too. How
Yeah,
long?
2012, probably
Wow.
2011. It was at uni. Was it 2010? 2011, I think, university, and I was leaving there, and then it was just, like I said, it was just a little side hobby thing.
Yeah.
And I ran that for a number of years alongside my creative jobs as a creative copywriter and then creative director. And then probably 2018, it just got too big to handle, and had to. It was a bit of a risk to leave a good job and a good, like, I've gone back into the industry from my previous job, but decided I'm going to just concentrate on OMB and doing my own thing. So yeah, sometimes it takes a number of years. And I think if I'd have gone at uni, if I'd have thought I'm going to create this massive community, it just wouldn't have happened. So sometimes I think these things just need to put something out there. And a couple of other feeds that I've done, I never thought that they would necessarily be anything, but I've just carried on and persevered with them a little bit, and they start to turn into something, and then you hit upon something good. And then when you've got something that people want to be involved in, and some of the positive, it goes beyond the creativity at the end of the day, because I think people are now benefiting through improving their careers,
That's awesome.
contact, community, mental health. So I think it's gone beyond that now, and I think that's why the community does continue to grow, because it's a win-win situation for everyone, and it's not also a corporation behind it. It's just a person just doing a Twitter feed that just continued, and it never sold out what it was always doing in the first place.
Yeah, totally. That's so interesting.
Would you say then, in terms of that growth, Nick, right, starting in 2011, has it been pretty kind of steady throughout? Has it been a nice, or was there a certain point where it really just took off and you saw the community just skyrocket?
Well, I think we probably hit I remember hitting 4,000 or something, like, quite early on. So I think that was like 2013.
Oh, wow.
So we had people started to take notice of us in the industry, and we were getting invited to go and do talks. And I remember being scared to death. I had to do a big talk in London, and I thought, I'm going to forget everything. But they saw us as a big organisation, and it was just me and my mate just up on stage, and we didn't know what we were doing. But that's the key. That was another key thing. Any opportunity along the way we were taking. So we would say yes to that, or be contacting magazine, trying to work with people, and do you want to feature this, and just almost asking people, or if they wanted us to do an article or something, we would say, yeah, here you go. And at the time there was nothing commercialized about it, so we were never working with brands. It just advertised tea bags or coffee or something different every day. And then a bit further down the line. But I think there's been some landmark moments. So the landmark at that stage was just being this new people to the industry, doing something really different and a lot of fun stuff. So that's why we had quite a big early thing, maybe in the second year. And then 2015 did a campaign for the NHS, and that was really big for us. And then that probably saw a big following. We did another film a couple of years later, probably 2017, 18, And then the pandemic itself has seen us go from about 21,000, so over 2 years, to, this is just on Twitter because there's a big following on LinkedIn and everything as well, but I always think of Twitter being the main thing. So 21,000, so I think we're on 37,000 now. So
yeah, I was looking. You're pushing like 40,000 on LinkedIn and on Twitter separately, and then you have your Facebook group. Well. Yeah, and I can imagine just the pandemic with people being online and looking at this, hearing about 1 minute briefs and just seeing it all. And that's really how I got introduced to it, of seeing people and then seeing some of the creativity that just comes out of it, and it's pretty fascinating. And it sounds like it was able to, and I think just people listening too, of just like these ideas take time to brew and really like come to fruition, right? Like within the first 2 years, it could be really cool. And like you said, you have 2 people commenting and then you retweeting it. And now I'm sure you have hundreds, maybe sometimes even thousands after even one of them goes viral.
Yeah. There's been a few moments, there's been a couple that have gone viral for Guinness.
I saw the Guinness one. That one was pretty awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
These things sometimes, this is why I say to people, even just a couple of days ago, someone direct messaged me and said, I did do 2 entries, but I never posted them. But you just don't know. You just don't know that little idea just could really spark everyone's imagination, and then it's all around the internet and it gets you opportunities yourself, as well as obviously it's very good for OMB.
Yeah.
There was a Kit Kat one. Again, these are the landmark moments that do help. We see a rise in follows, but also they catapult people's careers into somewhere else, and they might even change their industry that they're in. If something like this, and then when you look back, like I don't know if you, and there was a Guinness one that with Wordle at the moment, but there was a Guinness sofa one. And if you look back at this, that was for the stay-at-home messaging when we were staying indoors during the pandemic, and then, but that when we look back at moments in time, and they've been featured on like Ads of the World and top outdoor advertising and things like that, even if it's not even an outdoor ad. So, so it's the opportunities to just post something out there. You just never know where they could go. There's a campaign that we're doing this week, the WWF, and that started a couple of years ago from a very small, simple idea, and then last year it reached half a billion reach, and we're trying to do the same on Thursday. But there are other factors going on in the world, and there have been in the past couple of years, but we managed to do it. So hopefully we'll get similar big reach again on Thursday.
That's awesome. I'm curious too how this gets set up with the brands that you choose. And maybe you've talked about it in the past, but do you just pick you just give an idea and then somebody can just use Guinness and Kit Kat? Has any brands ever like called you and being like, hey, what is this? Like, you can't use our name on it.
Well, the thing is, because people are submitting their own ideas, then I suppose it's at everyone's own risk.
Sure, yeah.
To post anything. I think the positivity on the feed, it's never negative. We have a board of ambassadors, and they are on the lookout, as well as myself, for anything that might be potentially untoward. But because of that, in the main, everything is very heavily positive. And a lot of the time, if someone does something for a brand where we're not actually officially doing it with them, like maybe the Guinness thing, because it's a positive piece of content, and if it does go viral, then it's great for them, isn't it? The Kit Kat one, then sharing, Guinness did across all their feeds around the world, and paid the initial creator as well. So they did it in the right way, and embraced the fact that people are creating stuff for their brand. There was one time I did one for Karcher pressure wash. It was to advertise #pressure washers and whatever. I don't know if it's the same in the US or anything. Like everyone did a Karcher poster, and they were getting all these great things. But they said, can you just have a word and say it's not a Karcher brief, it's a pressure washer brief, and that was fine. But yeah, like I say, in the main, everything is really positive, and we tend to get brands sort of having a laugh with us, sharing gifts and think, oh, we love this and whatever, or retweet.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I think brands should embrace it rather than, sort
Yeah.
of put it down.
I was curious if like do some reach out to you and want to sponsor it? Like you mentioned, like a tea company. Can like a local like tea company or brewery just be like, hey, can you do a 1 minute brief for us? And then like, what happens if they use one of them? Like, do they get royalties? Does that person get something out of it?
When we do the ones officially with brands, because I mean we get a lot of people contacting us now from seeing these big campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do it directly with a brand, like we are with WWF on Thursday. So
that's cool.
They'll contact us. We'll work with them to create what that brief would be. We'll sit that on our website and then post it online. So we'll give away prizes to the winner or the top 3 or something. However, sometimes when we do a non-branded brief and it's just hashtag advertised tea or something,
okay,
a tea company might come in and say, we love this, we'll give free tea bags for a year winner or something.
Nice.
Just to get us to become part of it. And we
totally.
We had a bingo. We did a bingo brief a few weeks ago, and then Mecca Bingo got in touch with us, and they were retweeting all. They loved them all, but then they get in touch with us to run a more official brief moving forward. So it has, obviously there's a lot of people noticing stuff, and LinkedIn is a good. I always try and do a post. I'd love to do more on there because it's very engaged, but I'm always leading people back into Twitter via the other feeds to keep people in one place.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I was going to say, you'd think the brands that, wow, I want this. This is awesome. You get a lot of free, awesome ideas.
Well, it's we don't always say put brands on. People love to just put, when you're doing a spec advert, you want to put a logo in the corner of someone. I think I've always done it, even in my advertising courses or anything. You always just use a brand. So, but when these brands sponsor it, they're able to, because I put in so much work myself to try and create these brand partnerships and whatever, and it's very time consuming, and it's become my job, as mainly, apart from some of the other projects that I do. And they put up big prizes. I mean, we did one with Coca-Cola, and they put up £10,000 prizes for a 1 day, 1 minute brief. So
wow,
that was ridiculous. And I didn't expect it, but I think we had 2,000 submissions in a day or something, and
that's awesome.
And it's not glamorous. I was just sat here retweeting all day.
Then your day is very monotonous.
Just my retweet thumb.
Oh man.
So that's how it is. And sometimes Twitter can't even cope with the amount that's coming through on the day. The interactions, comments, quotes. Someone videoed this was a number of years ago before it even got big, but someone videoed my Twitter feed on my phone, and it was just constant going down. So I don't have notifications on my phone anymore because it fries the battery. But
it's so cool. It's so again, it's really interesting to see everything that's been growing. And we have a few people watching live, so just quick pause here. If any of you guys have questions for Nick, please put them in the comments and we'll get to them here in just a few minutes. We've been talking about how Nick came up with the idea for 1 minute briefs almost a little over 10 years ago, some of the brands that they've worked with, and we were talking about the one popular Guinness and the Wordle one that came, pretty much went viral. I've seen people just like retweet them, and they're probably thinking it's like some huge ad agency maybe that came up with it, like this big campaign for it, which was pretty awesome. I know you give out cash prizes too to the winner every day, right? So there is some incentive for contributing and putting in your entry.
I think people it's always been, well, when we first started, there were no prizes. When I did my first event, we do an annual event now. I actually gave away, I had no money, so I gave away yellow stopwatches as gold medals for the year. But I think that sort of human side to it, it's never really changed. As now we give away trophies because people can sponsor it and things, but it's never really, that sort of side of it has never really changed. We are able, we don't do a prize brief every day, so sometimes it is just the sort of bragging rights of being able to win. But what's nice about it is that when people do win, people big each other up and retweet it and say well done and things. And
oh, that's cool.
It's not a nasty competitiveness. It is very much a supportive group of people.
Yeah.
And then when you get, I mean, we've given away £850 today when we did, because we've done some briefs with Canva. So we gave a £500 cash prize and a free subscription to Canva for someone for a year. So it's amazing, and it's that amount of money can be really huge to people, and it's
yeah, totally
nice to be able to do that. Although what is nice as well is that people do it when there isn't prizes at stake as well, and I think that's really key, because we might go the next 2 weeks now without any prizes coming in, and if you think about that, for me, that's me just working completely for free, because it's relentless full-time work for me. So I'm just working for continuing having to run the feed despite maybe no partnerships coming in.
You haven't hired an assistant yet or anything?
Well, yeah, I've had people, but what we've done in the past week is create a group of we call them ambassadors, not ambassadors. So we've had a board before. I've been working out in my head since the new year on how to work it, and we have a set of OMB followers who wanted to get involved, and what that helps me to do is, so it helps it to be quite community led, and if they just post one thing a day on an Instagram or like a winner or something like that, that's just a tiny thing in their day to do, but it's massively helpful, because if everyone does one small thing, then collectively it takes the strain off me. But we'll be very much looking to hire. I've had a funny couple of years with my own health, in terms of I had an operation on my back and things, so I was in a lot of pain for a long time and things, at the same time as OMB was going like that. So I was looking like I was successful, but I was struggling to even get out of bed. So I didn't really want to push myself to start hiring people and then massive agency, which could happen, but I've not really had the motivation to do that. So it's very helpful when the community help me to do it. But I do think that the problem is when you start hiring people, you start growing and then you become huge, and I don't necessarily want that.
Okay.
Yeah, Nick, what are your long-term goals for this? Are you planning on kind of monetizing it more, or what direction do you want to take it?
Well, at the moment, it allows me some flexibility. Like today, I've been working on a film. So my day job, if you like, is as a creative director. So I'll write and direct films and TV adverts, social films, that type of thing. At the moment, I can still just about pick and choose a couple of projects in a year where I can do something bigger alongside 1 Minute Briefs, even though that's quite demanding. Longer term, now I'm feeling a bit better, then staffing will happen. We've put people in place to really help with the socials and general community spirit. But I would be hiring someone to help grow that and help grow the partnerships. You don't need masses of people, I don't think, to be able to do it, because I do it on my own at the moment. In terms of doing it, but if I'm doing something like this, like a talk like this, that's an hour that I could potentially be doing partnership stuff, but also equally doing stuff like this is great, because who knows who might see it and chatting to you, and then you might speak to someone, or and it keeps the community going, because it's just another way of the community finding out about OMB and things as well. So it's not very structured the way I sort of work and live. I'm always doing something different, but I think it all helps feed back into the community in one way or another, rather than me being sat from 9 to 5 trying to create partnerships with brands and stuff, which potentially would bring in more money and then grow business and stuff. But I don't want to be doing that. It might be a case of some other people can help me do that. But I actually quite enjoy the fact that we're doing different things. I don't want to turn it into something that's driven by money, because that isn't me. I'm not really that materialistic, and I think just having fun with like we did one OMB memes on Friday, and I'm just sat there having a laugh all day at these people entering memes about OMB, and for me, we can't lose that and start just being this faceless thing. I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because obviously it's probably easy to get caught up in like monetizing this and being like, all right, should we charge people to put in an entry? Should we have this like paywall and things like that? But, you know, listening to you and seeing what I've seen, it kind of seems like ideas come organically, like where it's like, even if you host a workshop for a couple bucks or whatever, like you kind of have that opportunity. But like you said, you don't want to make this seem like you're kind of like selling out, if you will.
Yeah, I think it would be very easy to start doing that, but I think if we started to try and charge people to enter and things like, if it became different, because it is literally at this moment in time exactly the same as it started on Twitter. So advertise tea bags with PG tips is exactly the same as advertise tea bags. So it just never changed, and I think there are a few things changed. So like sometimes we might change from a blog to posting stuff on Facebook, and certain things change as you keep learning. But yeah, I think it's just a constant evolving it, rather than just trying to revolutionize how it would work, because I think you could kill it instantly.
So to say, it's like $1 briefs is not going to be the new name, right? $1. Maybe Dan and I will just steal that, take that idea.
Yeah, you're going to see that pop up next week.
Our rival. Do you know what?
$2
briefs.
One time, he was winding me up. My creative partner created something called 60-second briefs, and I was going crazy because the logo was exactly the same, and I was just sat with him at work at McCann, and I was like, oh, I can't believe this. I need to speak to someone. And right at the end of the day, he'd let me stew in it all day. He said he'd created it. He was just winding me up all day. But there have been people that have tried to imitate it a little bit and offered bigger prizes as well. So at times when those things happen, you do get worried. But I think going back to that community thing that we're talking about, I think that is what has kept it strong, even in the face of other people offering better incentives and things, because they never had that community behind them already.
Yeah,
and I think, and also I try and very much be personable to people, so people do sometimes tweet and they actually say Nick in the tweets, because they know that I'm tweeting to them more, and I'll send an angry GIF or something if they forget their Twitter handle on the brief, and rather than being this corporate thing, that's what people hopefully come back for, and I do try and help people as much as I can. They help me, so
that's cool.
Yeah,
we have a few more questions, but I thought we got a good question from a LinkedIn user I thought was pretty timely. What is the daily time commitment on a platform such as OMB in the initial days versus how it is today?
So that's my own time commitment. Is that?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to follow up while you're thinking, it might be the same user. Just goes to show you that the intangible benefits outweigh everything at OMB, which is a nice comment there.
Yeah.
Kind of follow up what you were saying.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think I was always doing it on the side of a proper full day's job, and it was a case of, and obviously when we first started, we'd get a few entries in a week, and now we get hundreds a day and probably thousands of interactions a day. So it's a case of just being able to manage it, and people don't understand sometimes when they think there's a massive team behind it, and I'm like, well, no, I just sort of retweet them all. As long as you've got the brief there in the first place, you've created that partnership, and then you work throughout the day and work out times when you can retweet. I try and keep a steady stream without bombarding people too much, and then it just got much more intensive. I've got to really keep my eye on the feed a lot more than I would have done in the early days, because we're working with brands and things. And then I'll be spending more time on partnerships and stuff. But like I say, I don't necessarily have that full-time job anymore. It just got too big to be able to run to run the feed alongside full-time work, and it's gone that same level again. But it's also quite finite in terms of it's one brief every weekday, so that never really has changed as such. Until we would, we can't. I don't think we should start doing 2 briefs a day and all that. Because we devote the feed to that every given day. Yeah.
Quick question too, Nick. How much do you plan this out ahead of time? Like every first of the month, do you plan out the month's briefs, or what's that process?
Someone called me chaotic. I can't remember who it was now. A little while back. They were sort of being nice and stuff, but I think I try not to plan much ahead, and that can be annoying for people when you're in relation. It's just the way I am in general.
Yeah, sounds like something Dan and I would do.
So I try and there are a couple of things in the calendar that are going to be happening next month and the month after that. There's a couple of things, but it's very much week on week, so I don't necessarily know. But today, I sorted a prize brief for tomorrow because we had a space. If there wasn't a space, we wouldn't be able to do it. But I've just been. They might be on the call actually. I spoke to them just before this and said I was on the that I'd be working on the brief after this chat now. So sometimes it can literally be the day after if we're responding to something that's happened in the real world, or tomorrow's coincides with a date of the launch of something, so it's perfect for them. So because we've got the availability, we just do it. So I think a lot of it is trying to be as reactive as possible. It's nice to be able to plan stuff in, because then there's a bit more security behind yourself and the feed. But the good thing about OMB is that it can be reactive, and we can literally just do it on the day. Like today's, there was no prize brief, so I was just thinking at the start of the day, what should we have as the brief? And at the moment, I've got a mindset of, because of everything else going on, I want to just have loads of positivity and fun on the feed. So I just did advertise joke books. So loads of fun stuff fun stuff happening on there.
Yes.
But yeah, equally, is like this tomorrow's brief is going to be a big one, a big important one, but also hopefully a lot of fun at the same time.
Is your contact Toby Freeman? Because he just said I'm here, and then
he knows how quick we're working. But
yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. Yeah,
Toby's enthusiasm and in making it happen is key as well. You know, as a brand or organization, if you're full on positive and you throw the positivity behind it, then you can achieve big things. And I know it's going to be a big one tomorrow. But you need people within those organizations to be able to believe in these things. Some people are quite protective over the brand and might overprotect it to the point where you won't be able to achieve something really big. I think just sometimes you just got to make things happen, and the positivity that comes out of it tomorrow I'll look forward to seeing it.
Awesome. Real quick, I got a question that was from offline. I think they were having trouble, ask this here, but I think this was a good one. What do you think? Because this goes into like how to grow an engaged online community. But from your experience with 1 minute briefs, what do you think are the two biggest reasons 1 minute briefs has grown into what it is today?
Two biggest reasons.
Yeah. I mean, like, 'cause like you have like the time constraint, obviously, like that helps, like with kind of like it doesn't seem a lot of pressure, but just in general too, of just like, what do you think has like made it so like so many people engage and contribute to this?
I think one reason is that it never changed from the day it first began being a 1 minute brief of the day, and repetition, doing the same thing. Even when we had no one entering, I just kept doing it. Advertise cats, advertise TVs, advertise whatever. We'd get someone enter, and then two people, and then their mate might enter, or the mum might enter. So it's keeping on doing it every day, because when sometimes, because it is very, very overwhelming for me sometimes, when I've got so much pressure on, because I do have a lot of pressure when it comes to running this feed. I have to make sure no one's doing anything dodgy because it's all public. And I've got to bring people in. I've got to retweet everything. So there can be a lot of pressure, and sometimes there are difficulties that come with that. And you could think, well, what if I only do prize briefs and don't do the other ones and just have the day off on the other ones? But I think that if I did that, I think again you'd be selling out, and I think it needs to be non-stop. Just keep doing the same things, taking every opportunity that sort of comes. Even just when you spoke to me and said, "Do you want to come on and chat?" I just straight away said, "Yeah," didn't I? So I think taking opportunities that as and when they come, that's what's important. And I think just in terms of the community and how that's grown, I think just trying to give people back something. I think just helping people direct message me all the time, and people have had struggles with mental health. How do you do this? And sometimes people think that, or if I say, can you take that idea down? It's a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get a little bit offended by that. But I've got to think about the greater community and what that could put at risk. So there's a bit of pressure on there, but I think giving people some help and even just an outlet in their everyday lives to have a little bit of fun and positivity, especially when it's such difficult times in the past 2-3 years. And then they give me something back. And then if they give me something back, I can keep going and I keep doing these things. And then bigger opportunities, we can then Coca-Cola get in touch, right? We're going to give you £5,000 for that idea. Or Zed, who did the WWF initial idea, has got the second year of a massive campaign coming on Thursday. And he's got probably the biggest campaign under his belt than any creative in the industry. So it's just taking every opportunity, keeping on learning as well. If something isn't quite working right, just change it slightly, but keep repeating as much as you can, but making slight changes along the way and taking opportunities. And who knows? Someone said, "What's the best that could happen?" And I always stick to that if on anything. Just taking these opportunities and things, and the community just keeps growing as a result.
Yeah, awesome. Michaela Hugginson watching on YouTube. An ambassador here. For me, the aspect of the support from peers within the community intrigued me from the start, and now she's here to stay. So yeah, kind of go back to what you said. Yeah. I want to wrap up on this question too, and then Dan, if you have a follow-up as well. Just with your experience being the creative director and coming up with these briefs and what you've seen, just from to keep it on brand with the copy corner side of things as well, what do you think are the keys to creating a message that sticks?
In terms of like a poster or
yeah, like a campaign tagline, like a headline.
I think I always come back to it. Obviously, I mean, I know I said about graphic design advertising, but going back to the copy thing, my background really is in copywriting and writing scripts and things. So I think for me, the most important thing is to create an emotion with what you're putting across. If it's whether that's making them just laugh, smile slightly when they're going past a billboard or something, feel sad, or as long as they feel something rather than we've got 2 for 1 on this, that makes you feel nothing. It's like capture them with something that just makes you laugh or something, and then you've got them. And keeping it extremely as simple as possible. That's not to say long copy isn't an option as well, but keep that idea as simple as possible. Script wise, how are you going to capture people within seconds? And it comes through emotion, but again, that can be a longer film as long as it's powerful enough. But and I also think context. Weirdly, I was chatting to my mum about this last night.
Shout out to all the moms.
Yeah. We were talking a bit about OMB and sometimes you get submissions that have got a stunning piece of design or something on it, and you think, oh, that's potentially the winner. That, but if it doesn't communicate what it needs to do, so what is that one single thing in that brief? Are you communicating it? You might do a stunning visual that sort of references it or whatever, but I always go back to that. I always try and get a brief, and I always say, what's that? The good thing is about 1 minute briefs, it always distills down into a tweet. But whenever I've worked in the industry, I always want that key one-liner. What is the one key thing we want to say? And if you can almost put a mirror back on that exact piece of wording, do it in a different way. That's all you need to do. It's just doing what you're asked, really, but doing it in a clever way that's going to really capture people's attention. And sometimes that might be, you might get that visual idea, but you just need that context line underneath saying, bringing it back to what you're actually communicating. Don't just leave it like that without the context.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think context and simplicity, which is all about where OMB came from, and that's why these things work as billboards and things.
Yeah. If your mom understands it, it's a good line.
Well, she's the one walking past it and thinking, "Oh, that's good." Even if you think, "Oh, that's all right." That's all you need to make people just quickly look at it. We walk past stuff. We don't stand there and admire it, do we? We just take it in quickly and carry on going, don't we?
You ever get like, yeah, mom, we're at like 39,000 followers on Twitter. Oh, that's great. So, just like, there's like, that's so cute, dear. Just like
Dear.
total mom energy.
She's probably our biggest follower. She does a lot of retweeting, and she's become people like her more than me on the feed.
Oh, that's perfect.
Everyone says, she's our favorite humble and stuff, but yeah, she's the biggest follower. But when you need advice about things, and then if she's not getting something, sometimes as creatives we actually overthink things and think we're really clever. But almost sometimes when I'm going back into creative director mode or creative mode, I think, let's say, I always think in billboards, but if you just wrote what the brief is wanting on a billboard, that in its most basic sense is saying exactly what you need to. So that's good enough as it is, sort of thing. How do you do that in a different way? Because it needs to communicate. If it doesn't, and doesn't actually do what it needs to communicate, then it might not win. And when it comes to brands and things, sometimes one that's had 100 retweets because it's a great visual or something might not actually win for the brand, which is another interesting thing.
Right.
It might have 4 likes, but the brand thinks that's them, and they really get it. So it's all subjective, isn't it? It is all subjective.
Yeah, that's a cool way to think about it, though, man. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll wrap it up there. Nick, this was really cool insight into how everything evolved with 1-minute briefs, and just quickly, some people, Matthew Jenkins, who's watching, never thought I'd find such a loving and caring community within OMB. Feels more than just a community of family, if anything. Virtual hug. So you're doing something right, man, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see, for sure. And thank you to everybody who tuned in live across YouTube and LinkedIn and on Twitter. And again, we'll have the whole interview here on the Copy Corner podcast feed. But Nick, we appreciate all the insight in your time. I feel like we usually say, tell people where they can find you, but you have it there. Everybody knows, man. Go to @1MinuteBriefs, join the Facebook group, Twitter, LinkedIn, and put in your entry. Show some creativity. Don't be afraid to show that. You may win some cash, and then, who knows what can happen. It can evolve. So Definitely. Really cool to hear everything. But anything else, Nick, before we go? Any last thing, want to say hi to mom one more time, or anything else you want to promote?
I might send her a WhatsApp or something in a bit. But no, I think, just for everyone, if there be anyone watching that isn't, or is watching in future that doesn't enter, or sometimes people feel a bit worried about entering for the first time as well. But the community, as you've seen with a couple of them comments, are very supportive, very friendly, and they'll welcome you as much as I do. So just get involved and have a lot of fun. Awesome. Love it. Awesome, well, everybody, thanks so much for listening to today's special edition, live edition of the Copy Corner. Dan and I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, rate, review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us along on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter as well. But Nick, thanks again for your time, and everybody, we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks, Nick. Yeah.